This is Kerry Sullivan here with another How to Kick Ass in Sales.com video, and today is all about why the hell you should listen to me. Alright, so I had a really interesting question. Someone said, Kerry, why you? Why should I choose to work with you? What makes you different from everybody else out there? And it's a great question because I think you should be asking that of myself. And this is something that I think we should all have an answer for, right? What we stand for, what we're about. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with, right? They don't really know what they believe and what they're all about. But when you figure this out, you become a killer salesperson or just an unbelievable leader, and you have that spark, that je ne sais quoi, as I say, right? So here's the deal. Here's my story about this. And this is something most people don't figure out, and they just struggle, right? They're not able to take things to the next level. And so here's the deal. So I started taking these personality tests this year, and I loved them. I thought they were like the coolest thing ever. And the first one I took was the Myers-Briggs, and you can go to 16personalities.com. It's a free test. Check it out. It's really cool. And I took it, and it basically nailed me to the T. Said that I was kind of like a natural leader, a pusher, a driver, a competitor, right? And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I thought that was bang on. And then I found this other one called the Gallup Strength Finder test, right? A guy named Tim Tarango, who I've interviewed on here, told me about it. I went and took it, and my number one strength was competition. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm not even that competitive. And everybody started laughing when I said that, right? And it is kind of funny now looking at it, because if I step back and look at my life from a movie type perspective, look, I've been a professional triathlete. I've competed in a lot of different sports at a pretty decently high level. I've broken sales records. And I don't say that to just be boastful or bragging or anything like that. Those are just the facts, right? And to get that done, you gotta be competitive, right? And so I was like, okay, but what I didn't realize until I took this test is that could be a strength, right? Because all during my life, I was that kid that would go out there and try my butt off, and I'd always want to win. I got fired up and really got into things, and everybody would be like, dude, chill out, calm down. Take a chill pill, relax, right? And especially in a school setting, in an academic setting, being that fired up, that doesn't go good, right? Because I was pretty active and liked to do things, and I didn't necessarily get the best grades from my teachers in terms of self-behavior and things like that growing up. And so I always tried to keep that suppressed, right? That kind of competitive spirit, that fire. Well, then I started reading, I love reading books, and some of my favorite books to read are ones of top sports coaches. And the reason I like those books is because coaches have to have philosophies and systems that actually work, because if they don't work, their job is done, and it has to be applicable and easy for athletes to understand. And so you can apply these philosophies to a lot of different things. So I'm reading this book by one of my favorite guys, a guy named Pete Carroll, right? He's a great coach, great philosophy, and he talks about how he got laughed out in New England, and I'm a New England Patriots fan. I remember when he was the coach, and he really struggled. It seemed like he had a great guy, great spirit, but just couldn't put it together for whatever reason. He talks about that in the book. There's many reasons. And then he's like, all right, I need to write down my philosophy, because all the top coaches out there, they have a philosophy, right? The John Woodens and everybody else. And he was actually reading John Wooden's book, and he's like, all right, this guy's got a philosophy. I'm going to write it down. So he writes down his whole philosophy. And he wrote down his whole philosophy around competing. He talks about that over and over in his book. He's like, I love to compete. That's what I'm about. I'm about competition. I was like, get out. This guy is writing down basically his life philosophy around competing. How cool is that? So he wrote this down. He went out there and got the job with USC. And everybody thought this was a horrible idea to pick him, because the boosters thought it was a bad idea. The press thought it was a bad idea. The fans thought it was a bad idea, because he didn't really have a great track record at that time. But he's like, screw it. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to get this job. And he did. And he got that job fast, because he had his beliefs and his philosophy all written down in a system. He went in there. He sold them on that, right? He sold them on that. And he got hired. And then from there, he went on to be one of the best coaches USC has ever had and they've ever seen. So then he went on to go to the Seattle Seahawks, and we've seen him do big things there and great things there. So anyway, he's watching this video by Angela Duckworth, and he's listening to what she has to say, and she's talking about grit. And I've seen this video, and it's a TED Talk. You can go check it out. And she's talking about how grit is the thing that really determines more things than anything else out there in terms of having success. And they looked at all different factors, all different types of IQ, physical ability, and everything. And they found that grit with, naval cadets and spelling bee champions and everybody else out there was the #1 determining factor to deciding if someone was going to be successful or not successful, right? And it was the ability just to stick with something until the job get done. So let me give you an example of this. They're looking at spelling bee kids, and the kids that were the most successful weren't the ones with the highest IQ like they thought it would be, but it was the kid that was going to read the dictionary every single day, memorize words, memorize their origin, memorize all the different things about them, and get the job done and just have grit that way, right? And so she gets to the end of this TED Talk that Pete Carroll's watching, and she goes, but, typical PhD response, she says, but we haven't been able to replicate grit in lab settings, and we don't know how to teach it, and all this. And he's like, all fired up about this, right? He's like, tells his assistant, go get this Angela Duckworth on the phone with me. He's just like, because this is what I'm about. This is what my whole philosophy is about. I teach this grit. And so he gets on the phone with her, and he's like, come on out. And he teaches her the whole philosophy. So here's how this works. So most people think, and they look at two athletes competing, they think winner, loser. Two teams competing, winner, loser. You go into a sale, right? You get that sale or you lose that sale. So it's the same deal, winner, loser. But if you look at the top sports psychologists out there, Lanny Bastian, right? Tim Gethaway. You look at Pete Carroll, right? You look at John Calipari, right? You look at Rick Pitino. You look at Bill Walsh, right? Some of the best coaches of all time, all these guys and top sports psychologists, and they never talk about winning. They talk about going out there and being the best you can be in every play, in every moment. And the winning takes care of itself. Because even then, sometimes it won't, right? Because you can go out there, you can play to the best of your abilities, things can happen, and you can still lose, right? And this is a thing. He's like, what I teach my guys is every play, every game is to go out there and just compete. Just go out there and compete. Do the best you can be and be the best you can be in that moment. And what happens is because of this, these guys embrace adversity. They embrace the competition of that guy. And what happens in practice is the offense and defense ends up loving each other. A lot of the time they end up banging heads a lot more, or they end up loving the team they're playing that's pushing them to compete to that higher level. It's pushing them to that next level. So they love that competition. And that is what I'm about too, because I'm naturally just having more of a strength in that competition. So you want to say, why me? Because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to compete in everything I do. I compete every single day. I ask people how I can be the best I can be. I ask myself, how can I be the best I can be in every day and everything I do, with my athletic training, with my sales, with these videos, with my marketing, whatever it may be. To the people, to the friendships and relationships around me, I try to be the best I can be. And this isn't something that I just came across and whatever. It's been a process. It's going to continue to evolve, right? But that is why you should choose me, because I'm going to compete every single day to be the best I can be. If you don't believe me, go look at one of my first videos that I put on here some 250 odd days ago or whatever. Go check them out. I wasn't that good. I was trying to figure this stuff out, but I've figured out how to embrace my strengths. And one of the things is, and I'd say to you all out there watching this, is figure out what your strengths are and build your life philosophy and build what you do in life around these strengths. You know, so often people don't know how to really go out there and find that spark. And they think, and people say, follow your passions. Well, passions can be flaky, right? But if you build something around your strengths, the passion will come. And they've proven that through research. This isn't just some fluffy fuckwit law of attraction type stuff, right? That's the real deal. So this is Kerry Sullivan. That's why you should choose me. And I thank you for choosing me, because if you got to this point, you have, and you've listened to me. I appreciate you, and I love you. And I'll see you on the next howtokickassinsales.com video. Over and out.